Hi everybody, welcome and thank you for joining me on my latest video. Today, from a UK based Beatles fanatic, we're going to do something slightly different because I'm going to be celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Beatles going to America. Now in February the 7th is going to be the 60th anniversary of the Beatles' famous first live TV appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show in America. Now, before they went to America, they'd been quite successful in the UK and in Europe. But, you know, I think going to America made them sort of like more worldwide famous than like just being famous in Europe. So it is a very, very historic event, and not many people in the UK will really acknowledge it, to be honest. I think it's, you know, the Beatles are ours and sort of thing, but I'm going to do this. I was inspired to do this because I've got quite a few friends now who live over the pond in America, and they've been really, really nice to me over the past year and a half. So I'm going to do this. So like, it is a celebration of the first Beatles TV show in America, Ed Sullivan Show, on the 7th of February 1964. But we're going to be looking at an album that came out just before that, and the album has got quite a weird history. It has been counterfeited and bootlegged many, many times. I've got some originals, or what I think are originals, I've been told originals, and some that I definitely do know are counterfeits, or bootlegs, or unofficial, whatever you want to call them nowadays. And it is the album introducing the Beatles. Now this was released on the 10th of January 1964, and then Capitol came out with Meet the Beatles on the 20th of January 1964. So technically this was introducing the Beatles was the first official American LP. But the daft thing about VJ, who released this album, is they'd actually had the rights to this since July of 1963, and they had released a couple of singles. So when this album came out, it was sort of like basically nearly a year old. So we're going to have a look at the ones that I think are the originals first. I will try and go into a little bit of detail. Let's move that there. I had to look down because I'd wrote a few little notes on this very, very small notepad, which is a bit stupid really. But hey ho, it's Beatle Dave, and Beatle Dave never does anything easy, does he? I seem to be making things hard for myself. So, like I say, I've got quite a few copies of Introducing the Beatles. It is some of the counterfeits, or illegal, or bootlegs, or what you want to call them, are actually very, very convincing. I've spoke to a few people in America because when I got some of these records, I did do a video. So if you want to check that one out, you know, go onto my channel and just look, and you will find it. So this is, I know this one is the genuine thing. I will just check it out. I've put things on it, so I know that this is the Beatles introducing the Beatles. The Beatles introducing the Beatles. Original 1964 USA pressing. Red Oval VJ label. And this is what they call version 2, I think, because this has Ask Me Why and Please Please Me on it, I think, if it's the one I'm thinking of. That is the original. Very, very delicate, but that is the original inner sleeve that it came with. VJ was a very, very... Let's move that there. I'm very sorry. Right, yeah, this is the original inner sleeve that came with some of the original albums. Some of the albums didn't have any track listing on the back at all. This one has, so like I say, this is what they call version 2. So version 1, it would end on side 1 with Love Me Do, and then start side 2 with P.S. I Love You. Where on this version 2, Love Me Do and P.S. I Love You aren't on it. So you've got Ask Me Why and then Please Please Me. So it's introducing the Beatles. It's on VJ, and it's VJLP 1026. Now, people think this is worth a hell of a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, it's not cheap. If you've got originals of these, whether they're mono or stereo, especially in the UK, they are actually quite rare. Yeah, something was about to fall off my desk. I think the stereo ones are really, really rare, and 9 times out of 10 it'll say stereophonic or something on there, and it's not, it's just a mono record. So from what I've been told, right, if you look at the cover, if George there has got a shadow, it is virtually guaranteed to be an original. And if you look at the actual picture, the picture is very, very sharp. I know it's a bit hard because you've got the glare of the light on this. The seam is in okay condition. So side one, you get I Saw Her Standing There, Misery, Anna, Chains, Boys, and then Ask Me Why. On version 1, It Would Be Love Me Do There. Side 2, you get Please Please Me. Right, so on version 1, it would be P.S. I Love You. Then you get Baby It's You, Do You Want to Know a Secret, A Taste of Honey, There's a Place, and Twist and Shout. The other thing to look out for is, on some of these, if it says Please Please Me, sometimes it's got a comma after the first please, and other times it hasn't. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Although one is supposed to be slightly rarer than the other, but I've never actually worked out which one it is. So we'll have a look at the labels. So this is a very, very thick card as well, by the way. There is no way that is a counterfeit. You know, I've had quite a few people look at this and they've said, Dave, that is, you know, you've hit the jackpot with these, especially for what I paid for them, which wasn't a lot, to be honest. Now this is on the VJ label, and it is, don't get me wrong, they're not in mint condition, so it is a slight light rainbow on that outside, which is a bit strange really, if you're saying you always think of capital rainbow labels. And apparently the colours on this are quite vivid there, where on the counterfeits they're more blurred. And the giveaway sign on this apparently is where it says Introducing the Beatles, if then the Beatles is underneath it there and not underneath the spindle, so the Beatles has got to be there above the spindle hole, then it should be an original. I've also been told this is quite a rare one because it is on a red oval VJ as well. So basically this is like a version of the Please Please Me LP, with a couple of songs added or taken away depending on which version you've got. Like I say, this isn't in the best of condition. It's not bad, it plays lovely, don't get me wrong, it's a lovely sounding album. I'm so glad that I got this, to be honest. This is one of those records that I thought I would never ever have, especially being based in the UK. So that is the first one. So that is the VJ Red Oval version. So that is one of them, which we know is a original. This again, this says the Beatles, Introducing the Beatles, rare original 1964 US pressing. VJ label, silver and black. Right, some people used to think that these were actually the first sort of like counterfeits. There still could be, but I have been told that this is an original. Again, you can see the shadow there from George. I know you can't see it very good on here, but there's a shadow there from George. This cover is not quite as glossy as that one, and this has got a bit more wear and tear to it. Again, the Please Please Me has got the comma there, and again this has got Ask Me Why and Please Please Me instead of Love Me Do and P.S. I Love You. As far as I know, this is the original sleeve that this was in, so you don't get the advertising sleeve. And the reason some people think that this is a bootleg is because it's actually just like the label looks quite plain, doesn't it? But apparently this is an original pressing, slightly later one than that one, I think. And again, if you look, it says Introducing the Beatles, straight underneath it says the Beatles there. The bootlegs have the Beatles there under the spindle hole. This one is actually in better condition than that one. I say slightly later copy, but I think these were printed in different factories as well. And the rumour is that some of these were actually labels for singles and not LPs. That's why there's a bit of a variety. Again, lovely sounding album. These are all mono, by the way. They are mono. So there's that one. Like I say, the cover on that isn't as good as the first one, but the record is actually better. Again, it's a version 2. This is also an original one. This is, it just says original 1964 pressing VJ bracket label. Again, this is a nice, more glossy cover. And there you can see the shadow of George there better, can't you? See it better, yeah? See it better? Again, this has got Ask Me Why and Please Please Me on it, but this time the Please Please Me hasn't got the comma. I don't know if that makes this rarer or the other one's rarer, I'm not sure. If you live in England, some these are really hard to get, and I mean really hard to get. Slightly different wording on this, or they just say microgroove on this as well. Microgroove or monogroove? Microgroove. So that is side 1. Brackets means there's a bracket on the VJ, that's all it means. Again with the like, sort of like rainbowy outer on the labels. Again, this is in really nice condition. I bought all 3 of those off the same seller. And I think I paid something really stupid. I know it was less than £100 for all of them. Then I did a bit of research. I've been to a few record fairs with them, and everybody says these are originals. They're not first pressings, they're classed as second pressings, because they haven't got Love Me Do on. If they had Love Me Do on it, they'd be worth slightly more, but they are still worth, you know, for what I paid for them, probably worth best part of £100 each, these, if not more, maybe even £200 on a good day. Now we get on to the ones that are probably bootlegs. This says, you can tell as soon as you take this one out, the cardboard isn't as good a quality as them. Although, if you didn't have one to look at, they are convincing. The only thing that's wrong with this is that is very light. It almost looks bleached. George, there's no shadow there of George at all. It stays stereophonic there, but half it's been cut off. So if that was a real one, would half it been cut off? Maybe, because there was only a small label, weren't they? VJ in a lot of ways. But that just feels new. It feels like there's not a lot of age to it. And the labels on this are very similar to one of them, don't get me wrong. They are very similar. Oh, and this has Love Me Do and PS I Love You. So you don't get Ask Me Why and Please Please Me on this, which is why they probably couldn't call it Please Please Me when it was originally released. So this is side 1. Now if you see, the Beatles is under the spindle hole. So if you've got one of these that is under the spindle, where it says the Beatles name under the spindle and introducing the Beatles above the spindle, it's 90% sure it's a fake, and there isn't really any weight. That is a very lightweight record. Although it says stereophonic, it's mono, by the way. Again, it's a nice record. If you haven't got it, and this is the only way you can get it, it is nice to still have. Although there's some sellers on a certain selling site which I won't mention, although you can all guess it's eBay. Oops, did I say that out loud? Who will try and make out that these are originals. They're not. This one isn't very convincing at all, to be honest. I've seen better ones than this. But like I say, if you're only paying £10–20 for it, then you don't, it doesn't really matter. But after just getting those other three out, you can tell just by the quality of this that this is nowhere near as good a quality as those. Which I know if you're looking in a record shop and you've only got this to look at, if that didn't give it away, then I don't know what would. But you know, it's like there's just no comparison in one way, is there? I mean, that is the original, that is the fake. The colours and everything on that are a hell of a lot better than the colours on that. See how like that looks bleached, doesn't it, compared to that? So don't, you know, I'm only telling you what I've been told. This one is one I'm a bit like that. I think this is a fake, but having said that, there is things for it. It's definitely aged. It is definitely aged. You can see George's shadow there, although you might not be picking it up on the camera. That is actually George's shadow there. So I think this could be a later pressing, but in an original stereophonic sleeve. This is, the cardboard on this is a hell of a lot thicker, and it is more like the ones on the originals. Again, you've got Love Me Do and you've got PS I Love You, so this would be classed as version 1. But this is what I don't understand, because the labels are really, really convincing, and I do mean convincing. And if I didn't know better, I would say this was an original. But the giveaway sign is the Beatles name under the spindle hole, and I wouldn't say that is a 1960. I don't know, it is actually, it's heavier than that other one. So this could be, this is where it gets a bit difficult with these, because when Capitol in America brought out, or took up the option of signing the Beatles, even though Capitol was part of EMI, who owned Parlophone, they had put an injunction on VJ, and VJ had to stop production immediately. So I think that the way they got around it, from what I watched on a video a few months ago, was they actually made some with the name at the bottom, so that if they got caught, they'd just say, well, they're not ours, they're, you know, they're unofficial. Which, judging by the weight of that, and judging by the weight of this record, could be, I mean, it is a big could be, right, because that, I don't know, that's what I'm not 100% sure of. I know it's not an original first pressing like they are, but that could be one that like VJ did put out, sort of like semi-official, because the weight on that is a hell of a lot better. That actually feels like an original 1960s record, if that makes sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? It feels that, this is stupid, if you've got a vintage record, there is a certain smell to it. It's the age, you know, the paper and the cardboard and stuff like that. That does smell like it is from the 1960s. Now, whether it's from the late 60s or not, I don't know. But it's a hell of a lot more authentic than that one. That's all I'm saying. See, that even there you can tell, can't you? There's more colour in that one than that one. And that has aged, which seems a bit strange. Would you bother trying to age a bootleg? I don't know. Not sure about that one. So we don't know about that one. Probably is a bootleg or whatever, counterfeit or whatever you want to call it, but that is a bloody good one. And even that, you look at that, how clear that is there. So perhaps it is a counterfeit record in an original sleeve. Or like I say, it might have just been VJ trying to make a bit of money while they could. And then there's this one. The songs and pictures of the fabulous Beatles, which I know this is fake. originally when this came out, that opened up that way, so they haven't even gone to the bother of trying to do that right. And although it says songs and pictures of the fabulous Beatles, and it has got it's got From Me to You and things like that on this, so it's just, they have actually added a couple of songs. Yeah, it's got From Me to You and Please Please Me and Love Me Do on that, on side one. And you've got P.S. I Love You, Baby It's You, Do You Want to Know Secret, Taste of Honey, There's a Place, Twist and Shout. Again, the label actually says introducing the Beatles, although they've added a couple of songs to it. And again, the Beatles is under the hole there, the centre hole, and that is definitely a later pressing. They're still nice to have, don't get me wrong, they are nice to have. What did I pay for them? I don't know. I know what I paid for the originals. That one there was £10. That was £10, that one. Would you pay £10 for it? Would you have paid £10 for that? I mean, it does look better, don't get me wrong, it does look, it looks more authentic when it's like that than what it does when you get it out of the thing. I think that's about right for that £10, honestly. This one, which I'm not quite sure what that one is, I know I didn't pay a lot for it. I think, again, that was about £10, but that could be something special. Could be. Probably isn't, but it could be something a bit out of the ordinary, that one. That one I think I paid £15 for, if I remember rightly. This was the first one I ever got. And I just got it because I wanted the album. Wasn't bothered what, you know, if it was an original 1960s pressing or a later pressing or whatever. The sound quality on this is still up to it's basically the same as the originals. The only thing that lets that one down is there, you know, they can't even bother to get that straight. So that one's definitely, like I said, I think that was about £15, something like that when I bought it. And like I say, these three that we know are originals, I think I paid something like £40, £45. And I did buy all three off the same seller, as I've said. Took them to record shows. I've shown them on, I did show them on the channel early on when I first started the channel. So like I say, if you've just come across this channel, or even if you've been in my channel for a while, check out some of the older videos, because as time's gone on, I do sometimes forget what I've paid for things. You know, I don't write it all down. The only thing that lets that one down is that somebody's put ticks on the things at the back, the song titles. Lovely sounding LPs, they really are lovely sounding LPs. But in America, what would you say was the first Beatles album? You know, this is the thing that interests me, because, excuse me one sec, folks. Just try and get this in without ripping the sleeve. Because when this originally came out, I think within like 10 days, Capitol tried to get this shut down, didn't they? Tried to get, you know, because they've got the rights to the Beatles by then, or they'd have had the rights to the Beatles since God knows how many. You know, VJ and Swan and things like that actually put the records out in America because Capitol didn't want anything to do with the Beatles, did they? They goes, oh, well, they'll never do anything in the US. How wrong were they? How wrong were the folks, eh? How wrong were they? Or do you think that the first ever proper Beatles album was, in America, was Meet the Beatles? You know, it's like everybody in the UK says Please Please Me is the first ever Beatles album. It was, but they had recorded things before that, hadn't they? You know, they basically recorded a whole album when they did the Decca audition. they'd also basically recorded half an album with Tony Sheridan, you know. So what do you think, folks? Could you tell an original from a fake? Hopefully now you've watched my video, you'll know some of the things to look out for. Not all the things, there's other things in the dead wax and everything like that, don't get me wrong. If you ever see that and that doesn't open out, it's a later copy, unofficial, fake, counterfeit, whatever you want to call it. If you get something like that where it says stereophonic and it's at an angle and it is very, very light and it just doesn't feel right, it's a fake. That one, I'm not sure what that is. I think it is a fake, but I'm not sure if it's a fake from the 70s or a fake from the 60s or something VJ did at the time, so that if they got caught they'd just say, oh no, we haven't done that, because, you know, it's not quite the same as our labels. But that one is very, very authentic, that's all I'll say. And we know that one's real, and we know that one's real, and we know that one's real. Looking on eBay this morning, I did have a quick look at some of those, and there was somebody selling. There's a few on there. One of them has got the Beatles under the spindle hole, and they just says probably an unofficial one. And I think so. You know, their description was pretty okay. I think they wanted £25 for that. There was another one where it was like that, where the Beatles name was under the spindle, and they were saying it was an original 1964 pressing. They wanted £100 and something for that. There was one on there, which is the one that says it's stereophonic. Now, forgive me if I've got this totally wrong, but I was under the impression that that record was never actually ever released in stereo. So if you know different, then please tell me. I know there's certain people that say if you've got a stereo one, you can basically name your own price. In the UK, the original ones usually go for £100 plus. Usually, on a good day, you might even get £200. But these are something I'd never sell. Not those three. Maybe the first four. No, I'd never sell them. That one and that one. Yeah. If somebody made me an offer for them, they could have them. As long as it wasn't a stupid offer. You know, I'm quite happy with these that I've got. It's like, excuse me, with anything, when you are a collector, especially when you get to my age and you've been collecting for years and years and years and years, you always are starting now to look for things out of the ordinary. Do I really need that many copies of them? Probably not, in all honesty. Probably not. But the collector inside me says, don't get rid. Keep them, Dave. Keep them. So that's going to be it for today. So I hope that is okay. I have got a few days off work. So, you know, hopefully I'm just doing that in case it comes up as a good thumbnail. You know, so hopefully you have enjoyed it. I have watched a video from my old mate Beatle Brad earlier this morning, who's gave me an idea to do something, whether it's this week or next week, I don't know. So hello Beatle Brad, hope you're okay, mate. And that's going to be about it. So I hope you're well and dandy. I hope wherever you are in the world, you're all keeping well and the weather's not too bad. We've had ice and all sorts this week. It's been a really, really strange week in the UK, to be honest. If you've liked the video, by the way, just please give me a thumbs up, because that helps YouTube promote the videos. If you're not subscribed, just think about subscribing, because it is free. And again, the more subscribers they get, the more then that promotes the whole channel on YouTube. if you want to leave a comment, please leave me a comment. I'm sure some of you will tell me I've got half the facts wrong on these. You know, they are American albums. I'm only going what people have told me to my face, you know, going to record fairs and things like that. The thing about if the Beatles' name is above the spindle, it usually means it is a legitimate or an official release, and if it's below the spindle, it usually means it isn't. Which is the easiest way, you know. Am I glad I've got those? Yeah. What do you think, folks? You know, you tell me if you've got them. I'm sure some of my friends that live in America think this is either a really good album, or they think it's not. Simple. I actually like it. I think the way it's got two slightly different versions. You know, one with Love Me Do on it, and one without Love Me Do on it, and one with Please Please Me on it, and one without Please Please Me on it, is quite interesting. Why VJ waited to release this when they'd got the rights from July of 1963, I don't know. I think if they'd have released it at the time, they would have probably made more money. Or would they? Because, you know, there'd been a few singles released, hadn't they, up to before, you know, the Beatles' big arrival in America. So maybe they did get it right with the hanging on, and then like cashing in when you know it was all, yeah, the Beatles are coming, the Beatles are coming. Because they always said, didn't they, the Beatles? Because Brian Epstein tried to get the Beatles to go to America in mid 1963, I think, if I remember rightly. And they turned around and goes, we're not going to go to America till we've had a #1 there. And they didn't, did they? So, you know, there was right to stick to that, weren't they? Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, like I say, if you want to leave me a comment, please do. If you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing, and please leave me a thumbs up if nothing else. If you want to buy me a coffee, apparently you can buy me a coffee now, although by the time it gets to me, it'll probably be cold. I think you have to press, is it the thanks button or super thanks or something. If anybody does it, you know, it is much appreciated. A couple of people have already done that for me, you know. So, you know, I love you all. Please stay safe, and remember, you are the beat in Beatle Dave. There's something different to celebrate the forthcoming 60th anniversary of the Beatles' first visit to America. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I've probably made loads of mistakes. I usually do. It's just my age. So until the next time, love and peace. Remember, Beatle Dave loves you all.